Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. If you're a new player looking to saddle up for Grand Prix Jumping, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're focusing on how to actually play this incredibly unique card game, where careful strategy absolutely outpaces pure speed. You see, your ultimate objective isn't just crossing the finish line first, it's finishing with the fewest fault points. We're going to transform that dense rulebook into clear, actionable steps, so you can literally just get right to the table. Let's dive in.
Here's our quick roadmap to getting you ready to ride. Welcome to the Grand Prix, mastering the split, understanding your cards, clearing the jumps, faults and penalties, and finally, crossing the finish line.
All right, Section 1. Welcome to the Grand Prix. Strategy over speed. Moving on to Section 2. Mastering the split. I cut, you choose.
Okay, so this mechanism right here is the absolute strategic core of the game. It's the central drafting phase that happens every single turn. Think of it like cutting a cake and letting someone else pick their slice. The starting player takes 7 cards and divides them into 2 distinct piles. Now, the only strict rule here is that there has to be at least 1 card in each pile. No 0-card piles allowed. Then, your opponent actually gets to choose which pile they want to keep. This divide and choose method, it creates this brilliant nail-biting tension. You've got to bait your opponent, kind of trying to build a pile they really want while secretly securing the exact cards you desperately need to navigate the track. It's a real mind game.
I need you to sear this hard limit right into your memory. 8. 8 is your strict hand limit at the very end of the turn. So after all the drafting and playing of cards is completely done, if you're holding more than 8 cards, you've got to discard down. The only exception, and we'll cover this in just a second, is if you've played a stable card. But really, hand management is the whole shebang here. Keep it to 8.
All right, Section 3. Understanding your cards. Time for saddling up.
Now let's look at the specific tools you're actually going to be using. Think of this table as your mental cheat sheet. It basically separates your deck into 2 main categories: essential movement tools and powerful utility actions. Height and length cards, those are your jumpers. Canters are for moving smoothly across flat ground. And then your ribbons, saddles, stables, and dual riders are utilities that basically let you bend the rules in your favor.
The game's design is honestly brilliantly intuitive once you get going. Take a look at a height card, for example. It features a big, bold number that directly corresponds to the exact number of crossbars your horse can clear. You're basically just matching these visual icons to physically navigate your horse around the track on the board. Super simple, right?
Okay, pay close attention to this one, because this is where a lot of new players trip up, this saddle card. A saddle card is absolutely required to play any movement cards at all. But here's the golden rule. You have a 1-switch limit per saddle. What does that mean? Well, it means you can play a bunch of jump cards and then switch to cantering. Totally fine. But you cannot switch back to jumping without playing a brand new saddle card. So, jump, then canter. Perfectly legal. Jump, canter, jump? No way, that's invalid, unless you toss down a second saddle. Make sense?
Section 4. Clearing the jumps. The math of the leap. Let's get into it.
To clear those physical obstacles without taking nasty penalties, you always require a combo. You have to play a height card and a length card simultaneously. And here's the really tricky part. Their combined numerical values can never add up to more than 7. So if you're forced to use a height of 5, your maximum length can only be a 2. It's this fantastic little math puzzle built right into the movement phase.
Now, what's actually really great about this is how it removes a lot of stress for beginners. Seriously, don't sweat finding the exact perfect math for a jump's height. That number is just a minimum. Let's say a fence requires a height of 3 to clear the crossbars, but you only have a 4 in your hand. Just play the 4. As long as you meet or exceed that minimum required height, your horse is going to clear it safely. No penalty for over-jumping.
Notice how this all builds up when we introduce the track's absolute biggest hazard, the water jump. While normal jumps only require a minimum length of 2, the water jump, it demands a massive minimum length of 5, along with a height of 1. It's huge! Also, keep this strict rule in mind. Height and length cards are strictly for leaping over obstacles. Under no circumstances can you use a jump to simply just run forward on flat ground. That is exactly what canter cards are for. Oh, and real quick before we move on from the cards, keep an eye out for the dual rider. If you're holding this handy utility card, you actually play it before you even start your regular turn. It lets you peek at 2 fresh cards from the deck, keep the one you want, and hand the other one off to your opponent. It's such a great way to force a really difficult choice onto them right out of the gate.
All right, on to Section 5, Faults and Penalties, the price of failure.
Look, no ride is perfect, right? So there are a few ways you're going to earn faults. Sometimes you just get dealt a bad hand, a fault card, and you just have to take the red cubes listed. Each of those little red cubes is 1/4 of a point. But the real danger is out on the track. See, you can intentionally choose not to clear a jump just to advance, but man, is it a costly proposition. You will earn a massive, full-point penalty for every single rail you fail to clear. Or, if you're taking the water jump, a full point for every space you fall short. Ouch.
Then, literal thematic disaster strikes with the race official card. Imagine this. Your horse has failed a vet check. If you get hit with this card, you do get to play your turn normally. But then you're faced with just an agonizing choice. You must either take a painful full fault point or discard half of your hard-earned cards, rounded up. I'm telling you, it hurts every single time.
And here is exactly why managing those faults matters so much. 4. Exceeding 4 maximum fault points results in immediate disqualification. Boom, you're out. You lose the game right on the spot. So yeah, you really have to manage your risks very, very carefully.
Thankfully, the game throws you a lifeline, ribbon cards. These represent your past accomplishments, and you can spend a ribbon card to reduce your dangerous fault count by 1/4 point. Or, alternatively, let's say you're riding a clean race and you don't actually have any faults. You can just use a ribbon to simply draw another card from the deck. They are incredibly versatile, so hold on to them.
And finally, Section 6, Crossing the Finish Line, the final score. So, how do we calculate the ultimate victor? Well, the endgame is triggered the exact moment a player's horse reaches the checkered flag space. But remember what we said at the start, finishing first doesn't automatically mean you win. What it does do, however, is penalize the trailing rider. The lagging player literally takes a 1/4 fault point penalty for every single space they are behind on the track. Brutal. Once those final penalties are all tallied up, the player with the fewest fault points wins the game. And hey, if faults happen to be tied, then the player furthest along the track takes home the trophy.
Just one final setup note for you before you play. You can actually tailor the game's difficulty to your own liking. Playing with open cards means both players' hands are totally visible face-up on the table. This turns the game into a pure high-strategy puzzle where you can plan exactly what to draft. On the flip side, playing with hidden cards conceals those hands, which introduces a lot more reliance on memory, bluffing, and let's be honest, a little bit of luck.
Now that you completely understand the draft, the movement rules, and exactly how to keep your fault points low, you are fully equipped to take the reins. All that's left to decide is how you'll set up the table. So what's it going to be? Will you play with open or hidden cards in your very first Grand Prix? Gather your deck, plan your route, and I'll see you out on the course.